The Federal Reserve has been quietly building a $12 trillion trap and the bait, your entire savings account. This is not a conspiracy theory, this isn't speculation, this isn't a doom and gloom video, this is mathematical certainty. In my humble opinion, you have about 12, maximum 18 months before people really catch on to this to prepare yourself. The government is using a weapon that you've never heard of. It is called, there is fur everywhere, it is called the zero coupon bond. So you give the government money today and they promise to give you back more. So the way that works is that you give the money, the government, you give them $24 today, and they promise to give you back $100. Sounds like a good deal so far, doesn't it? But they're going to do that in 30 years. It sounds a little bit like a magic bean, except instead of a giant, you get to become your own grandfather. But there is a horrifying catch. To make sure you get the most out of this video, I've also put together a full research report, which you can download absolutely for free. It's in our free community at felixfriends.org/resource. Just tap in over there. You'll find this video under the free YouTube research section and you'll find the report. Bear with me for a few minutes here and you will learn something that'll blow your head off. These bonds are so unbelievably sensitive to interest rates, it is called duration risk. It's a fancy Wall Street touchy term for catastrophic built-in design flaw. And here's the math that should terrify you. For every 1% that interest rates go up by, that bond you are holding loses 30% of value in your bond. Why? Because with zero coupon bonds, duration basically equals the time to maturity. A 30 years coupon bond has 30 years. It makes it extraordinarily vulnerable to interest rate changes. 1% higher rates, 30% lower value. Now you might be thinking, but Felix, I just heard from your cat that the Fed is cutting interest rates. And yeah, you're right. As I'm recording this, the Fed has already cut rates, and we're going to get more cuts in 2026. But there is where it gets truly insane. You have two types of interest rates. You have the Fed rate, which is what they control, and that's coming down. And then you have the market rate. Now, there's a market rate for the 30-year government bond, and that rate, it's going up. It's been climbing, going up, even though interest rates have been cut. So think about that. The Fed is basically stomping on the rates go down thing, and the market is grabbing the emergency brake at the same time. So we now have the Fed lowering its short-term interest rates, which is what they do, while the market is pushing up the longer-term interest rates. It's the bond market's way of saying, we don't trust you. So why the heck is this happening? Well, it's simple. The US government is spending money with the frantic, sweaty energy of a first-year college student with their very first credit card. Let's look at the numbers. In 2024, the deficit was $1.8 trillion. The deficit for 2025 will of course be lower because you got all that tariff money coming in and you have a more fiscally responsible government, except it'll probably be $1.9 trillion. Oops. It's not sort of like we forgot to cancel the free trial kind of money. It is, we bought a solid gold yacht and immediately sank it for the insurance money level of financial insanity. And it gets worse. I'm Felix Prehn. I'm an ex-investment banker who's seen how the money markets really work from the inside. I'm also the founder of the Goat Academy, where we've taught over 20,000 people so far how to navigate these markets. And I'm also the co-founder of TradeVision.io, where we make Wall Street quality news and data available to everybody. The interest for this year, so just the interest payment on the national debt, is about $1 trillion itself. That is like 20% of all government revenue, all tax revenue, is just paying interest. The US spends more on interest than on defense. Nearly 1/5 of every tax dollar you pay is going just to pay for the debt, not to pay it down, just to service it. You're not building roads, you're not funding schools, you're just paying interest on money that was already spent. The Fed sees this $2 trillion fire They see the labor market getting a bit wobbly, so they decided to ignore the fire and cut rates because they have these two jobs, basically low inflation, high unemployment. Sorry, high employment. Freudian slip. Meanwhile, they claim they're reducing their balance sheet. Let's look at the reality. This is the Fed. And this is money they've just printed out of thin air. It's sitting somewhere around $6.5 trillion. Now, they said they were going to reduce that. They did that a tiny bit, but they've given up on it. They are enabling and causing massive, massive inflation. So what's the next disaster? It is the auction disaster. Do you know how the government raises money? Borrows money, because they need to borrow a lot of money. We're talking about 25 trillion a year just to pay the new bills and roll over the old debt, by the way. So they have to hold auctions like every week. Basically saying, who wants our IOUs? Get your fresh, hot IOUs, that kind of thing. And well, lately, not that many people want to buy them. So you have less buyers, you have more debt that needs buyers, and therefore, well, what do you have to do? What's the incentive to get the buyers to buy it or to bring in more buyers? You have to have higher rates. That's the only leverage the US government has there. So the bond market is saying to the government, you are a financial dumpster fire, and we're not lending you money unless you pay us loan shark interest rates. Now, you might think, well, is it really a problem? Well, we've seen this before. The bond market forced I did not, Clinton, to reduce the deficit. So Clinton, in 1990, reduced the deficit. He was also lucky there was a massive boom going on, so it was a little easier to do. We saw it in the UK. In 2022, in the UK, they had a completely forgettable prime minister called Liz Truss, and she had to resign because her budget crashed the bond market. In 2025, in April to be precise, President Trump, the mighty, was forced to pause his tariffs in April because there was a sell-off in the bond markets. The bond market was saying, we don't trust your fiscal policy, so he had to put a pause on his plans. So if you don't realize it by now, the people who actually run the country are not the people you elect. It's the lot on Wall Street who call themselves bond traders. They might not be the most exciting people in the world. They might not be the people you want to have at your dinner parties, but it actually gets worse. Foreign countries, pesky foreigners, how dare they, like me, they are doing what? They are dumping, if I could spell dumping, US bonds, which is US debt. Chinese holdings have actually dropped over the year. They were going up for like decades. And it isn't just China. It is basically everybody. And these guys are not taking profits, by the way. They're not doing it because the dollar is so strong. No, they're selling it while the dollar is weak. They're not profit taking. They are permanently diversificating away. Is that a word? They're basically getting out before the building collapses. And it breaks the old system where the world demand for dollars let Washington borrow endlessly. It's the financial equivalent of seeing your dinner guests quietly climbing out of the bathroom window because they thought the soup is so bad they can't stomach the main course. And look, if your head is spinning right now, I get it. This is complex stuff. You're not going to learn this in 15 minutes. But Wall Street deliberately makes it confusing. And that's exactly why I created a free research report for you so you can read it again and again, and that's in the community, felixprehn.org/resource. And secondly, I did one better for you. I recorded a free 15-minute training that breaks down exactly how Wall Street navigates this all, and you can get those same strategies again for free at felixprehn.org/get-free. Let's get back to this trap because it is about to get even worse. It brings us to the final trap. The mathematical trap. The government has an impossible choice. We have two options. Option A is let interest rates rise to what the market actually demands, which means, well, a 1% higher costs the US an extra $1.5 trillion in interest. So if rates go up 2 or 3%, be absolute insanity. The whole system would explode. and the US would spend more on interest than on Social Security and Medicare probably combined. So the budget becomes impossible. Now the second option, there must be a better option, right? Well, the second option is option B. This is plan B. And that is print more dollars to buy own debt. Now, if you think that sounds like a Ponzi scheme, it is because it is. So you keep interest rates officially low, but what's the consequence? Well, what happens to dollars if you got more of them? Say you really wanted to buy a pen, say, right? I've got 4 pens. I'd say to you, well, each pen is $1. There are now 30 pens. And you know there are only 2 buyers, only you and your friend. You know I've got no power, so you'd probably offer me 50 cents on the pen or 25 cents on the pen, right? So it's losing value. That's what happens to the dollar. Another way of thinking about that is, say you and 9 friends go and you get marooned, stranded on an island. This is an island, right? There is a palm tree on it. Rough drawing of a palm tree. And there are 10 of you. Yeah? I'm not going to draw all 10 of you, just one for illustration. And you thought about what was going to happen, and you brought 10 gold coins. So there are 10 people, 10 pieces of gold. Now each piece of gold has a certain value, you can imagine, because there are only 10 pieces. New folk comes along. He comes along in a little ship, artiste at work, and a new guy comes along. And what does that new guy bring? He brings in an extra 10 pieces of gold. Now you have 20 pieces of gold. What do you think happens to the value of each gold piece on your little island? Halves, right? That's inflation. You print more money, make more gold pieces, your savings get destroyed through currency devaluation. We're talking Weimar Republic, Zimbabwe-style inflation. It's a lose-lose. It's like being asked if you'd rather be eaten by a shark or a slightly larger shark. Either way, you're screwed. So here is what makes this even more insidious. Yes, I used the word insidious. There is not just one theft here, there is a double theft. Let's say you buy that 30-year zero coupon bond. What actually happens? Well, you have the inflation theft. So even though, remember, they're going to, you were going to give them $24, they were going to give you $100 back in 30 years. Well, that $100 in 30 years will actually not be worth $100. It'll be worth about $13, just with a little bit of inflation.
It's gone. It's all gone.
What's all gone?
The money in your account. It didn't do too well. It's gone.
And then, and I'm not making this up, the IRS will still tax you every single year on the phantom interest. Interest you never actually received. You're literally paying tax on the privilege of having your life savings incinerated, courtesy of the US government. So it's theft and double theft. Inflation robs your purchasing power. The IRS taxes you on your imaginary gains, and you're paying the government to destroy you. Brilliant, isn't it? It's basically a casino where the house is on fire, the dealer is printing new chips that are worth less every second, and you're being charged for the smoke inhalation. That's sort of the way I see the system right now. You might say, Felix, I don't own any 30-year zero coupon bonds. Why the hell should I care? What even are they? Here's why this affects every single American. Your retirement account, your 401k, your IRAs hold bond funds. If you have a balanced portfolio or a target date retirement fund, you own bonds. When interest rates rise and bond values collapse, your retirement account takes a hit. Your savings account. When the Fed chooses that option B, printing money, which is what they're doing, your savings account gets destroyed by inflation. That's safe money in the bank. It's losing money every single day. And honestly, no matter what the government chooses to do, you lose. Mortgage rates, car loans, credit cards all become more expensive. Everything you buy becomes more expensive through inflation. In my humble opinion, you have about 12, maximum 18 months because before people really catch on to this, to prepare yourself. The fuse is already lit. The math says we need to act. So what's strategy number 1? Do not be in long-term bonds. Now, that's a no-no. Again, not financial advice, but it's just something to think through. 2, own things they, as in government, can't print. So focus on assets with intrinsic value, real assets, real estate, land, rental properties, businesses that actually generate cash flow, commodities, productive assets that create value. Hell, a bottle of whiskey probably holds more value than a treasury bond right now, actually, unless you drink it. You can buy stocks, but you want stocks of companies with pricing power. Companies that can raise prices with inflation. Businesses with strong balance sheets and low debt. Now, if you are in bonds, and most of you are unwittingly through your 401k disasters, focus on short-term bonds. I'm sort of thinking 2 to 5 years. Again, not financial advice, just some guidance here. And number 4, keep some powder dry. That's what they do on Wall Street. You want to be the person with some cash. Not a lot of cash because it's going to get eroded by inflation. And you want to put that at least into like a high yield savings account or something like that. Generally speaking, probably 6 to 12 months of your expenses. And then you can be ready to buy quality assets when they go on sale. And number 5, and this is the most important thing I'm going to say to you all day. EDUCATE, right? Should be a song. Educate yourself. No one else is going to do it for you. And I tell you why, because nobody else gives a hoot. Wall Street certainly doesn't. The less you know, the easier it is to sell you stuff that you don't understand, right? Now, as I say, it's not financial advice. I'm not a consultant or anything like that. Yes, the system may be rigged. Yes, the Fed and the government have created this mess. And yes, they're going to try and make you pay for it, but you're not powerless. You have choices. You have agency. You can protect yourself and your family. And the people who get destroyed in these situations are the ones who ignore the warning signs, trust someone else will fix it for them, and then scream about it because they are a victim. I know this video has been a little heavy. I know it's a little scary to confront the reality of what's happening in our financial system, but ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is expensive. The people who get hurt worst are the ones who stick their heads in the sand and pretend everything is just fine. The people who come out ahead are the ones who see reality and take action.